Introducing Peacock, the new free streaming service from NBC Universal. It's hit movies, current shows, live sports, trending bits, and timeless hits. And that's why you can't not watch. Peacock. Watch for free, upgrade for more. Stream now at peacocktv.com. Law & Order SVU streaming now.
10, 9, 8. Ignition sequence has started. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You have entered Untold Radio AM. And now broadcasting from a secret location, your hosts, Joel Sturgis and Doug Hajicek. And welcome to this edition of Untold Radio. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is Mr. Doug Hajicek. Tonight we got a great show on tap. We have Bill Devlin's on tonight with us. And he's really a revolutionary comedian. You're going to hang around for that. He is a great guy on top of it. Had a lot of fun pre-show talking to him. He's got a lot of great things to say, and he's had a hell of a career. And we're going to get into that when he comes on Bomb the Hour, of course. But we're also going to tiptoe into a little bit of paranormal with him, too. So keep your socks on, because we're getting ready to blow them right off. So anyhow, Doug, how the hell are you doing? We're here another week. It's cold in the shit outside, excuse my language, and we're all dying. So why don't you tell me how you're doing?
That was a good word to describe how cold it is.
Well, sometimes you just got to say that like it is.
Okay, but I got to tell you, you know how lucky I am? I decided to go out of town last weekend.
Yep.
Of course, up to the Canadian border.
Yes.
Coldest snap in 50 years or 100 years,
yep.
Whatever.
And that's a great time to visit the Canadian border.
Oh, yeah. So I'm there, and it hits 50 below. Not wind chill, but a true 50 below. It was so cold that my seats resembled bricks in my Jeep. Bricks. I mean, they were hard as a rock.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel your pain.
And then we did the auto start. It failed.
Yeah.
Which, that's when it's supposed to work.
Cold weather does strange things to vehicles.
50 below. Why did I pick the one day that it's a 50?
And I'm going to tell you why you did.
Why?
Without naming names, because I like to protect young people's anonymity. You took your beautiful, wonderful, very smart daughter to Ely, Minnesota.
Yeah.
And she said to you, and I guarantee this is how it went, because I have a daughter too. Dad, can we go to Ely and go shopping? At first you're like, what the hell? Why would I want to travel? Negative 55,000 below weather.
Yeah.
I really want to get a pair of mucklucks, Dad. Oh, okay, I love you, honey. We'll go. So you get in your car, right? And you're traveling up north. And the further north you go,
were you there?
The colder it's getting. Oh, I know exactly how it rolls. I know exactly how those conversations go. I don't have to be there.
Sweatshirt or parkas up there are like $200, $300, $400.
Yes. Well, they keep you warm. They're designed to be used in the Arctic Circle.
They're nice. Yeah, they are.
They are worth every penny if you're cold.
She wanted to go shopping.
Exactly. And
she said she wanted to meet Lynn Rogers.
See, now that's cool. That's worth the trip right there.
Yeah. And Lynn had gave her a private tour of the entire Bear Center. They opened it up for her, gave her a private tour. And I got, of course, a tour, too, because,
you're there. You're with her.
Well, yeah, because of the Bear Cam work done. Yeah. But, no, it was really cool. They've made a ton of improvements. I mean,
I've never had a tour of the Bear Center.
If you haven't been there in the last 5-6 years, you haven't been there.
I must have been there, longer than that. I would say about a decade ago I went through there.
Yep.
And it was impressive then. I can only imagine what they've expanded upon now. So if you're an Ely,
but while we were there, Lynn brought up something I had proposed many years ago, and that's implementing augmented reality into the Bear Center.
Mm-hmm.
You could, for instance, put realistic grizzly bear, black bear, bear cub, and these digital bears could roam the Bear Center, and you could only see them with your iPhone. So that's what I pitched. I don't know. I'm sure it was 6 years ago. And so all of a sudden, Lynn brought that up. And of course we didn't do it yet. He brought it up, and I'm thinking, dang, that was 6 years ago.
It kind of reminds me of, remember when the big thing was the Pokemon finding the...
Yes, that's augmented reality.
So I could see where that would be a great learning tool.
But it was really cool back 6 years ago. I'm not so sure anybody's terrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is there a way now to have holographic images wandering the Bear Center while people are in there?
No, that would be... No. Couldn't happen.
We're not there yet. We're tech.
Yeah, that would be beyond any budget. You could do augmented reality, 3D, holograph looking things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I did propose building a true hologram one.
Yeah.
That would be a learning tool of a bear.
Yeah.
Right when you walked in. So I did
That'd be cool.
kind of propose that. But I'm looking at my daughter and I'm thinking, I bet you she could give them a just instant demo of augmented reality, because I guarantee these people hadn't seen it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you? You're an Ely. You don't need to.
You don't need any augmented reality there. You get all the reality you need in Ely.
Exactly. You've got reality there. You don't need augmented reality.
Yeah.
Their life is never dull. But I thought, okay, I'll just kind of nudge her. I said, can you put a bear on the floor here or thing? But then, she handed me her phone within 3 seconds. And I showed it. I gave it to Lynn. And there was this black bear on the floor, 3-dimensional. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh my, he'd never seen anything like it. And so he was really impressed. He just thought, oh my God, that was just amazing.
Yeah.
Really, it wasn't.
Well, for her, it was easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Yeah.
But for the rest of us
right.
that live in reality, because I don't live that far away from Ely, I know exactly the reality you're talking about.
You've probably never seen augmented reality either.
I have seen augmented Yes, I have. I have searched for things on my phone. Oh. I went to a murder mystery one time.
Oh.
It was on the Queen Mary. And they were using augmented reality for clues. You had to find the clues using your phone.
How many years ago was that?
5, 6, 7 years ago. It was. It was a long time. It was when it was cutting edge.
Yeah.
Very expensive to do.
Yep.
And it was one of the big selling points. This had to have been more than a decade ago.
Yep. Well, I got a demo at least 10 years ago by a developer, the first developer, and he. Literally, this was a guy who had been talking. This is a funny story, but I'd been talking to him on the phone about he was put in charge to start a television network, and we had gotten contact about developing some programming, and I always just presumed he lived in California.
Mm-hmm.
Always. And all of a sudden, I don't know, after we'd been talking 10 times. I said, well, where in California do you live? He goes, I don't live in California. I'm like, what? He goes, I live in Minnesota. And so I'm asking him, well, whereabouts? And of course, what he tells me is, I'm thinking, God, that's only 8 blocks away. But then all of a sudden I thought about it. And I thought, oh my God, it's 2 blocks away. I said, go out of your house and walk to that street, I'm not going to name it, but walk out to the street and wave. He does, and I look out my door, and there he is.
How funny. So you've been working with this guy.
Yeah.
Doing this tech demo.
He's in California.
And you're thinking he's definitely in Silicon Valley somewhere working on something.
Well, he was working with a number of big stars and augmented reality for all these pop stars. And I just presumed he lived in California.
The world is small, Doug.
Yeah.
The world is small. And augmented reality now seems to be come almost full circle. I mean, it seems very simple to implement now.
Yeah. Well, I'm really hungry right now. Something I wish there was augmented dining.
Never mind.
No.
Never mind.
Food delivery. It's maybe coming.
Yeah.
Something.
You'll be okay. You'll survive. You will survive.
Anyhow.
Because you don't want an augmented reality burger.
Yeah.
That would just be cruel and unusual to do that to somebody.
Yep.
So, but your trip to Ely?
Oh yeah.
When you're up there, was good?
Just like you predicted, we got to go through all the fancy, the boutique places.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is going to end up putting me back, $600.
Is that all?
Oh, and then, we go to the muckluck place because, she wants a pair of mucklucks.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they're closed because of COVID. So we do get a hold of somebody, and there's like, well, we could, you can go to our warehouse. So we find the warehouse, go out there, and of course she finds what she's looking for, and we get them, and they bring them out to the cart. Oh, that's cool. And then here comes Will Steger. And
if anyone is listening that doesn't know who that is, he was the man. Well, I want to say the first, wasn't he?
He is probably the greatest living current explorer on the planet. Mm-hmm. He has walked across Antarctica, gone unassisted, up to the North Pole. He was the first person to do that. But back in the 80s, late 80s, I got to interview him. And he walked out and he's staring at me and he's kind of pointing his finger at me because we're sitting. And he's looking and I roll away and say, hey, Will. And he comes over and my daughter got to meet him and we talked for a while. But it was funny because he's standing outside, right? I'm in a warm car.
Yeah.
And it crossed my mind. Maybe he's dying out there.
Yeah.
Because it's like 40 below out. Then I'm thinking in my brain, that's Will Steger. He'll be fine.
That's a light jog for him in the cold. I mean, that's like nothing.
No big deal. So anyhow, and then whatever, I think we had lunch with you, as I remember.
You did. You stopped in.
Yeah, we had lunch with you.
We did lunch, and it was a good time.
Best bacon I've ever eaten.
I bet it was.
Yeah, and you didn't get to eat yours because I ate yours too.
You took it. You stole my bacon. No, I wasn't going to eat it anyway because I have been on a keto diet.
Yep.
And, that whole fun thing.
I thought bacon was part of that.
It is, but it's got too much saturated fat in it.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah. I know you did. I saw you. I watched you. I envied you. It's okay.
So I'm going to drive. I'm going to drive back this weekend just to get bacon.
Why not?
250-mile drive.
You know what? Some people come up that far to go to a place called Fred's, and it's a meat shop, and it has the best thick cut bacon you could ever eat in your life. I mean, it's like, oh my God, you cannot eat bacon after that. It ruins you for all other bacon.
I didn't really eat bacon after I tasted the bacon I had. That was incredible. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, from a little small restaurant. Who would have thought?
Yeah,
right? The best bacon. Those are always the best places to stop, though. Those little small joints.
Yep. Well, everything was closed. We went to Ely, and of course, the chocolate mousse is closed permanently.
Yeah, I heard that. And every time I went to Ely, I used to like to stop at the chocolate mousse, and they've been closed for quite a while now.
And then I went to another restaurant. They were closed. Another restaurant. They were closed. I was like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do?
So, how locked up was the city, by the way?
It was pretty locked up.
Yeah.
Which kind of surprised me, actually, because I figured they just,
yeah.
There's not that many people up there, and I just figured they just, be kind of ignoring. Plus, can't stores be open now?
I think they can, to some extent. I think the capacity is real low. I'm not sure in a city of Ely that has maybe 5,000 people in it that actually live there.
Yep.
I'm not sure. Because during the summer, it explodes to be 50, 60,000, and that's no joke. It just explodes.
There's 5,000 people, 10,000 snowmobiles.
Yes, easily that number. But yeah, Ely during the summer, BWCA is right there. It really does explode to be a huge city, and a lot of pop-up restaurants show up too, just out of nowhere.
Really?
You'll see pop-up restaurants, stuff like that. They're serving. It's a fun time in the summer. So if you're going to go to Ely, I'd suggest going during the summer.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know where Ely is, it's basically at the end of the road.
Yeah.
169.
Yep.
Stops at the Canadian border. It's connected with the Boundary Waters canoe area, which is 500,000 acre wilderness.
Yeah, it's huge, and right there's Lake One.
Yep.
Right outside of Ely, and that's the entrance to the BWCA for most folks. So there's other ways to get there, but that's the most popular way to get in there. Because Ely's like that last stop of any kind of major civilization before you go and embark.
To give you an idea of how, I don't know, I hate to say dumb, but my son, he does a lot of research. He wants to take a long hike with his girlfriend in the Boundary Water. They don't want to canoe in. They want to hike in. Mm-hmm. So, of course, he finds the one area where people have gone missing. That's
I know right where he's talking about that.
Yeah. So they hike in there 10 miles, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're having a few drinks by the fire, and they go to bed, and they sleep like babies. But they had put a tape recorder out in the middle, during the night. But they're sleeping, and all these rocks are getting thrown at their tent into the lake, right, where they were camped. Wood knocks.
Were they aware of this at all going on?
No, they had no idea.
Not a bit. Wow.
Nope, they had no idea. They slept through it, the whole thing. But the next night, then they listened to the tape. The next day, and they're like, holy crap, must have been the drinks, right?
Yeah.
In fact, you can hear Blaine waking up in the morning going, I'm really hungry. Just when they're waking up, on the tape. What they did, they put the tape recorder out like 10 feet from the tent. Mm-hmm. So the next night, they heard all the activity.
With their own ears, they're actually hearing it real time.
They ran a long extension cord auxiliary with a splitter. Then they could each wear headphones. And they were listening. And, of course, same thing. Rock throwing, clacking, ground shaking, rocks that were huge rolling right up to the tent. Mm-hmm. It's pretty nuts.
That is crazy. I know the area, and I'm not sure if you'd want me to divulge the area, because I could guess where he was.
Probably not.
Judging by the reports that I've heard out of there.
Yeah.
But I'll keep that to myself, because I don't want to make it so, I spoil anything that he's working on. So I'll just kind of keep that to myself.
Working on anything. It was just kind of an area he went to, literally was attracted because of missing people and, whatever. He's just that way. But it'd be the last place I'd want to go to.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. The BWCA.
It was so bad. Their second and third night, I think they decided they needed to leave. They actually felt like their life was in danger. And you hear recording, and you hear these huge rocks thump, and then you hear them rolling right up to the tent. I mean, they're heavy. And you hear them ricocheting off other rocks.
My gosh.
And it was quite interesting. So
what an experience to have.
Yeah, we'll have to get him on sometime, and he can.
Yeah.
And we can play the recordings, and it's kind of interesting. You don't see what did it.
No, but you definitely hear. The BWCA, though, for anyone that's listening, it is complete seclusion.
Yeah, no motors allowed.
No motors allowed. If you happen to see people walk by, which are few, the trail I'm thinking, if we're thinking the same trail, is not taken very often.
No.
A lot of people steer clear of that one because of the reputation.
Yeah,
it has.
You're right.
And so, yeah, if you go missing in the BWCA, you're missing. I mean, if you get lost in the woods up there too, you're lost.
I believe the last guy that camped at the spot they only found his wallet.
Wow.
That's spooky. They never found him.
Yeah, that sounds like a case for a good friend of ours to look into.
Yeah. Who in the heck just leaves their wallet?
Who does that? You're right. I mean, it would have to be in such a hurry.
Yeah.
Either be in such a hurry to get out where they are that they're terrified and they're going to run away. Or B, they were taken.
Now, Bill, our guest that's coming on, he came to Minnesota. He's from Minnesota, but he had never, I don't think he'd ever gone actually do a Bigfoot, kind of an expedition.
Yeah.
And he came up and he had experiences and hopefully he'll tell.
Yeah, that'd be great to talk about that. And Ely, I'm really kind of surprised that neck of the woods is not covered more by Bigfoot community. No, I'm telling you, there's some strange stories up in those woods.
Look, I've talked to witnesses up there. If they don't want their name used, they will never come forward. They'll never allow you to record them. But road crossings happen, quite often.
Would it be interesting to have a town hall meeting up there?
Oh, God, yes.
And just to see who would be willing to
I don't think
talk.
I really don't. I think they're so ingrained in their worried about being laughed at or, ostracized.
That kind of seems to be like the whole area of northern Minnesota like that. North of Hinckley kind of gets that tight-lipped, worried about what the neighbors are going to think of me kind of mentality.
Yep. Yeah, you could have a Bigfoot poop down your chimney, walk in the front door, throw your TV through the window, and they're not saying anything.
They're not going to say a word. Oh, Doug, that's the wonder of the Northwoods, though. There's been a lot of reports. I mean, I've had people come up to me in confidence, much like you, and want to talk about it.
Oh.
The strange thing that I've seen. And of course, when I say, hey, do you mind if we share that on the radio show? No, absolutely not. Yep. I don't want to have my name put out there or really even brought up. I just want to tell somebody.
Yep.
And I'd say fair enough. Fair enough. But if you've never been up to Ely, definitely go this summer. Once things are clear, things are open. We're going to have to play that by ear to see what our society looks like in the summertime. But social distancing, if you're looking to do social distancing, the BWCA is the place to be able to do that.
Yeah.
If you're into outdoor adventures, that's definitely the place. Got a great guest, like I said, on tap. The guy is he's a phenomenal comic. And he has been working with the best out there. I'm talking Chris Rock, David Spade, you name it. He's worked with. I mean, he's been doing this comedy and cocktails show. And he'll probably get into that with us.
At the
longest running show.
Yep. Yeah, it's at the Hollywood Improv, too.
Yeah, and it's at the Hollywood Improv. And really, I'm interested to hear about his stories about working in Hollywood and being a comedian. Being funny is hard work.
I've been talking to Bill for 10 years, and he's always got something new to tell me, constantly.
I bet.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be a contestant. I'll let him tell it.
Yeah.
Next one.
On a major game show.
Yes.
He'll be a contestant, so that'll be interesting to hear that with him. So, Doug, I got a couple of questions. We might as well talk a little bit of news here while we're sitting here and we're waiting for the bottom of the hour. How do you feel about, we all can't avoid it. We're all going to die. Each and every one of us, you are, I am, everyone listening, we're all at one point going to die. How would you feel about being composted?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
And composting means to turn you into soil.
But I would want to be brought up to a place I've already designated and put right at the base of that tree.
The reason why I bring it up is the nation's first human composting funeral home is now operational in the state of Washington.
Oh, goody.
Death care specialists say that this new and environmentally friendly procedure is critical to mortuaries because they're being overrun. Because of COVID-19 and all that stuff, they're being overrun. Now in California, they want to do that and take it a step further and make that the preferred way.
Back up, Mr. Joel.
Yes, sir.
Then why is the death count in this country the same as it was last year, the year before? Everybody says they're overrun. The funeral homes are overrun. I'm like, you look at the stats and you're like, how is that? I'm confused. Explain it to me.
Well, allegedly, and I say allegedly because I don't have the numbers in front of me.
I'm not saying this isn't real, but it seems that there really isn't any. You know what I mean? The facts don't. It's confusing.
They don't match up to what you've been experiencing or seeing, is what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, it just doesn't
make sense. Makes sense. Anyhow, though, California is going to go a step further, and they're going to kind of make this the preferred way of dying now.
What do you do? Do you leap in yourself?
Well, they compost you.
No, but you go in while you're alive.
No. You don't become worm bait when you're still alive. No, this is after you pass away. Would you want to become soil? Or, I mean, really, I started thinking about it because I thought to myself, oh my God, how morbid is that right there?
It is, but look, we all become compost anyhow.
We do, and I just thought to myself, well, what's the difference between that and cremation? Cremation, you just become ashes.
Yeah, do you really want your organic food grown, though, in a bunch of compost?
That's the question, because they want to take these bodies and then use them in farming.
Yeah, no. See, that's where I'm going. I'm going, nope.
No, thank you. No human compost grown veggies for you.
It kind of reminds me of the, the Cecil Hotel situation.
Oh, gosh.
The body in the cistern.
Yeah.
People were
Lisa Lamb, yeah.
People were drinking the water and bathing in it. Ugh.
That is such a strange case.
Yeah, you're not.
The Cecil Hotel.
You're not kidding, because the weirdest thing, and this is kind of a spoiler alert, but not really. It's just one coincidence that her name was, Elisa Lamb.
Yep.
And there was a tuberculosis outbreak in the Skid Row area of the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
But the test for the tuberculosis was called Lamb Elise.
Yeah. That is a strange coincidence.
And the tuberculosis outbreak happened 3 days or so after they found her body. And people... That
is strange.
It's just like, can that even be a coincidence?
But would TB cause her to have a mental break?
No. I'm talking about the name. The name, Elise Lamb, and the test for the tuberculosis that happened to break out right at the base of the season.
Yeah, I understand that.
It had the same name, only backwards.
Yeah. No,
and the lab was from her home city.
Wow. There's a lot of intertwining facts there. I'm picking it up. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, and so the conspiracy theory is that this was a biological weapons testing plan that was enacted. And the old theory that when things like this, nefarious people do things, they do it in plain sight.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? They leave a huge clue.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. I understand, because when the story broke, at the time I was doing a true crime podcast, and we went over that with a fine-tooth comb about that case.
Oh, yeah.
And many believe she was having a mental meltdown, a mental break.
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm not even going to try to come to conclusions on how she died, because there's so many even missing things. But when you take some of these weird coincidences, there's no way they can be a coincidence. It can't be.
Well, you can't have too many things hooking up together and not be connected.
Right. Remember John Lorden, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had her as a guest here not very long ago. He's one of the stars of the new #1 hit Netflix show called Crime Scene.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a 4 or 5 part.
And they deal with the Cecil
really
Hotel
yep.
on that as well.
Did you see that yet, Joe?
I have not seen it yet.
Yeah, you definitely.
I'm behind on my Netflix watching.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to take your word for it right now, but I do hear great things about the show.
It's good.
That's worth watching.
You got to get John back on to talk more about it.
Yeah, that would be great to get him on, talk about a little bit. And of course, we're gearing up here, and I am fixing my board that blinked at me. So there we are. We're back to normal. We have to run a break. We come back. We're going to have Bill Devlin with us. Don't go anywhere. Be right back right after this.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio.
Are you a gig worker or self-employed? Womply has helped over 100,000 small businesses get a PPP stimulus loan and proudly serves more than 600,000 small businesses across America. Millions of self-employed workers may qualify for up to $41,000 in 100% forgivable loans. So apply today. The program ends soon, and funds are limited. Apply now at womply.com/apply and see if you qualify for a PPP loan. Womply.com/apply. That's WOMPLY.com/apply. Are you a gig worker or self-employed? Womply has helped over 100,000 small businesses get a PPP loan. You may qualify for up to $41,000 in 100% forgivable loans. The program ends soon and funds are limited. Apply now at womply.com/apply. That's WOMPLY.com/apply.
Obviously. Or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at Motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound tow chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Green light. Hey, girl. School zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to Untold Radio. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is Mr. Doug Hajicek, and tonight we got a great guest on tap for everybody. Great guy, great friend of Doug's, and just an overall wonderful comedian. And I had no idea he has some paranormal stuff to talk to us, too, about. We got Bill Devlin's on the show tonight. Bill has been in Hollywood for many, many years. He's been in several films. He is kind of everywhere, but he's really well known for it. And you guys got to check this out. Bill Devlin's Comedy and Cocktails. Got to check that. If you're in California, Southern California, you got to check that show out because it has the who's who of comedians stopping by. Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, David Spade, you name it. That's just touching the surface. This man has also been involved in movies and television and comedy for several decades, as I said, and no signs of slowing down. I would like to welcome Bill. Bill, welcome to Untold Radio.
Hey, thanks for having me, you guys, Joel and Doug. What an introduction.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I practiced it all week.
Yeah, you memorized that. That's awesome.
Well, Bill, I love your stuff. I've seen your comedy in the past. So I just want to tell you right away, I really appreciate you coming on the show, and you are truly a funny man. Isn't it hard being funny? I mean, really, because it looks like a job. Is it really hard?
It's really nerve-wracking until you're on stage doing it and people are laughing. So up to that point, like there's been times. Sometimes sometimes I just really want to run rather than get on stage. And I've noticed that with a lot. No matter how experienced, like some of the names you've mentioned, you get butterflies before you go on. But then once you're on stage, then it's awesome.
So it's kind of like radio. Like I'm stressing the whole time before I go live. Like this got to be perfect. That has to be perfect. I cannot stumble here. This point has to be hit. But once you're in the moment, it all kind of goes away and you're just in that flow.
Yeah. And then, when you're doing live comedy on stage, there's no turning back. I mean, if you're tanking or things are going wrong, you're on your own.
Yeah, that is so true. So true. You only get one shot when it's live.
Have you ever tanked, Bill?
Not too often, fortunately, but I can't say I haven't. I have.
Wow.
And so, but not very often, but once in a while. Or, there's been things that happen, I don't know, like you expect. You learn as you go along, you learn some things. Like in my earlier days, I had some jokes and they went over, and then you start thinking, oh, this is going to really get them. And then you tell the joke, and then because you were bored seeing laughs, they will not laugh. You can't do that. I've learned you just have to you just have to have fun. I have to enjoy myself. I have to think what I'm saying is funny. And as long as I think it's funny, then I'm happy. Because what I've learned is if I think it's funny and I tell 200 or 300 people a joke that I think is funny and nobody laughs, then that's hilarious to me. Like, what was I thinking?
I have the curse of laughing at my own jokes, and some people stare at me with the deer in the headlight look, and I'm like, okay. All right, that's clearly too highbrow for you.
Yeah. But
little things like that.
And I did shows. I did a circuit of shows at a maximum security prison. And that was I
was going to bring that up during that, and I really want to know first off, how did you end up doing some shows in a maximum security prison?
They paid me. They said, we'll pay you. And I said, I'll do it.
I'll go to jail. I don't care. Pay me. I would say the crowd is great, but they're captive crowds. So
so that was one of the first jokes I did. And because I did 9 shows in 2 days at a maximum, because I had to do a show for each quad. The prison had 8 quads, and then I had to do one for the guards. But I did that joke. Oh, it's a captive audience. I had one of these prisoners walks all the way across the prison yard the next morning after that, and he's like, and he covers his mouth. He's like, "Don't say captive audience. We've heard it, and don't mention San Quentin." Like that was his. I'm like, okay, neither one of those two. And he was like risking, like he was like really, like, he didn't want anybody to see that he was talking to me. He did one of these, like, acting like he's looking at the tree, but he's telling me this information.
He's trying to give you,
but I took it to
help you
heart.
survive.
I didn't use that joke, and I didn't talk about San Quentin anymore after that. But
were you ever nervous? I mean, here you are in front of, a bunch of convicts. So were you ever nervous?
Oh, really nervous. Yeah, well, they could have killed me, and I had no place to do this. Like I thought, oh, well, I know I'll just be in the prison theater or something. But no, they're like, here's a picnic table in the middle of the prison yard. Will that work? And I'm like, okay, but you better stand on the picnic table at least. And so... And then this lady there was the prison lady that announced me, and all she did was get up there, tell a bunch of rules, and then say, and here's Bill Devlin. And then I'm like, thanks for the warm-up, lady.
Wow, that's not much of a warm-up.
So
and please refrain from shanking or throwing bottles. Thank you.
I did kind of tank the first couple of shows. I think maybe because I was nervous, and these guys were lifers also, so they didn't really find too much to laugh about.
The ultimate tough crowd.
So it really was. So they weren't laughing too much. So by the next show after I figured that out, the rumor was, because I had a group of roadies, prison roadies, that were helping me out and telling me what, so they told me the rumor was that the jury was out on whether I was good or not. So I told the lady, I gave her this resume, kind of like you just introduced me, of all this stuff. I said, build me up. You say, he does this, he does that. He's the greatest at this, and blah, blah, blah. And he's on this show and that. And then, so she did that. And then I got up and I said, and apparently the rumor on the prison is I suck. And then everybody broke into, they thought that was funny.
Oh, that must have been a tough icebreaker.
But anywho.
So do you do much ad-libbing, Bill? Where you just kind of test a new joke like every night, or is it hardly ever?
I always like to do a new joke. It makes me feel good. My show, as you mentioned, Comedy and Cocktails, I have a lot of repeat people. I have people that I see in the audience that have seen me 100 times, and they keep coming back. I have different comedians, as you mentioned, so they're not there just to see me, but they're still laughing at my stuff. So I always try to mix up my jokes, write new jokes, and I always like to do a new joke in every show. Just makes me feel good by doing
Bill, were you the funny kid? I mean, you're one of 8. Were you the funny kid, or was comedy kind of the thing in your family?
Yeah, not really. My dad liked to tell jokes at the dinner table, and I really wasn't the funny. I think my brothers were funny, and I just kind of absorbed it all as a kid. Mm-hmm. I mean, we did funny things as a family. We did comedy sketches. In Minnesota, we'd act out All-Star Wrestling.
It's Vern Gagne.
Yeah, Vern Gagne and the Crusher, and we would do all those voices. You turkey necks, and but we would do skits, and it just made me want to make people laugh, I guess.
Yeah, you did that, and then of course you. How long did you live in the St. Paul area?
I've been out here for 20 years, so most of my life I was in Minnesota. It took a while before I figured out I was free to go.
Figure it's time to leave the cold prison.
Yeah.
So when you first started out, how did they break into comedy anyway? If someone thinks they're funny, I mean, what are the kind of the ropes? If you might, if you don't mind sharing.
I mean, I have a lot of people ask me. It's a tough, you have to do open mics. You got to write jokes, and then you got to go to an open mic and perform those jokes, and maybe nobody's going to laugh. And usually the open mics, it's all other comics. And so you do that until you get enough material to, do some hokey show somewhere. Somebody will book you, and then you just build it up from there. And some people get really lucky, especially then you come to Hollywood and you try to. I mean, obviously I'm not super famous. I'm doing okay, but I'm here in Hollywood. I've been making it been out here almost 20 years. So,
well, there must be something to it then. I it's a Hollywood's a rough place.
And a lot of
it is
people
hard to make it.
Yeah, a lot of people have stories like, well, a lot of people come here and try it, and then they end up going back to wherever they came from. Some people can do it, and some people get really lucky. Somebody sees them and they're perfect for a show, and they get on that show, and there you go. I've had opportunities that just haven't panned out. A lot of us have done pilot shows. Like I did the pilot with Doug. Can I mention that or not really? I did it, Doug.
Yeah, but you had fun doing it.
Oh, it was a blast. And,
what was the pilot show? I'm dying to know. Doug, is that something that can be released? What pilot it was?
No, can we, Bill?
I don't know. I don't know. We can't.
Because it's still a viable idea.
Yeah, it's still a viable idea, so we don't want to say it on.
That is true.
We're still pitching it.
Anything like it.
And the show could still sell, and it was a great show.
Yep.
And so there you have it.
I thought it was. I thought it was cast absolutely perfect. It was you, David Race, and Craig Coleman, and it was perfect. I mean, just balanced.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me until Doug said, "You guys are the Three Stooges," and I'm like, I didn't really realize that.
Well, David's kind of the heavy.
Yeah.
And you're kind of the in-between guy, and Craig, he's definitely was Curly.
Yeah, so you had Mo, Larry, and Curly.
Yeah.
You could say it. That was Larry. I don't care.
How can you go wrong with that?
I mean,
that's comedy gold. That's
it
definitely comedy gold.
I still love that show. And sometimes, when you do a show like that, it can just be timing.
Mm-hmm.
When you pitch it, it's just timing. But I'm going to...
Are you a gig worker or self-employed? Womply has helped over 100,000 small businesses get a PPP loan. You may qualify for up to $41,000 in 100% forgivable loans. The program ends soon and funds are limited. Apply now at womply.com/apply. That's womply.com/apply. Are you a gig worker or self-employed? Womply has helped over 100,000 small businesses get a PPP loan. You may qualify for up to $41,000 in 100% forgivable loans. The program ends soon and funds are limited. Apply now at womply.com/apply. That's womply.com/apply.
Repitch it again. Trust me.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Some people do a show like that, then they get on TV, and then there you go. Then the kind of mushrooms from there once you get some really big national exposure. And, of course, the comedians in the old days, you'd go on Johnny Carson, and there you go.
Yeah.
That would be it.
Do you think that YouTube is the new Tonight Show? Because I see a lot of comedians on YouTube trying to make it, putting their videos out there. Has that helped the industry?
It helps some, yeah. A lot of people. Well, there's YouTube stars, so that most of the YouTube stars are. I don't even know what they are. But I mean, there's YouTube stars that are doing music, they're doing wacky stuff, they're doing short films, or you name it. But there's people that are relevant in the industry and if you can make yourself relevant, that's the other thing. If you can get a huge following on any kind of social media, like a huge following, then the television producers they're gonna look at you because they know you're gonna bring that following to their show. So if you have that under your belt, you've got a feather in your cap.
Yeah, it's all about getting the exposure is what you're saying, getting that following, getting a routine also that people want to listen to. That's a lot of work. That is a lot of work.
You get a routine, then you got to be able to ditch some of that material and then bring new material on board. And that gets kind of scary to do like an hour show. And then you got to I got to do a bunch of new material. But that's what you got to do. I mean, I'm not as aggressive as some comedians that write whole new hours every year. I try to get as much stuff as I can. So
I once interviewed George Carlin, and we were talking, and of course this had to have been 10, 12, 15 years ago, and I had mentioned comedy to him. And I said, yeah, I think I'm kind of funny. He says, no, you're not. Well, gee, thank you. But I said, what do you say to anyone that wants to get in comedy? Don't. What do you mean, don't? that was just the kind of weird guy he was. Just left it right there. Just don't.
I have a lot of people. I used to coach a little bit. I did a comedy class, and I used to judge an open mic where the open micers would come, and if they wanted, they did win $50 for the night. The funniest comedian of the night would win $50, and I judge it. I was the sole judge of the show, and if it wasn't my show, I was hired as a judge, and then we take 10 people, and we do a big show with my 10 favorites, and then one of those guys would win $500, which that's a huge amount of money for somebody just starting out. It's only 5 minutes of comedy, and you get $500. And then plus, there's a couple people that I put in my show at the Hollywood Improv, which is priceless.
That's a good haul. Yeah.
I would give people advice. It's very tricky to give people comedy advice, and some people will take it to heart, and some people will just say, think I'm nuts, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm not, because comedy is so subjective. You really don't know. But
it's kind of an abstract art, isn't it? You just don't know, what's funny to one person may not be funny to the others. And so it's very abstract that way, because you just never know what's going to hit.
But I have people come to me and they say, okay, what do I do? What's the first thing I do? And I think they're looking for some easy out. And the first thing I tell them to do is read a book. There's a comedy book. There's Judy Carter. She's written a series of books, and it just tells you, if you read those books, everything you need to know, really. If you read her book, you're going to know what you need to know, what to expect, how to write jokes, where to get material. And so far, out of quite a few people, the amount of people that came back to me and said, okay, I read the book, now I'm ready for the next set. Because I said, after you read that book, then call me and I'll totally help you. Nobody's ever read the book.
No one's ever,
if you're too lazy to read a book, I don't think, you're going to be able to do the struggle of trying to write jokes and be
I often run into a similar thing with the radio hosts that want to become big time radio hosts. And how do you do it? Well, there's a couple books out there you can read, and once you read those books, come back to me and like you said, nobody ever reads the books.
I didn't realize that. I didn't even know that was going to happen. I expected these people to read the book, and I'm like, okay, haven't heard back. I'll probably be hearing back any day now. I never hear.
They never call you.
And so now I'm like, this is great. Read the book.
Or they talk to a road comic and they hear the horror stories of different hotels every night, and because it is not the easiest lifestyle, especially for a traveling comic, is it?
Yeah, no, I haven't done like hard road stuff. I've tried to stay here because there's a balance you got to keep if you have an agent and you're trying to get into TV shows. And I used to do TV commercials all the time. There was a time when I did a TV commercial every week. So those agents, you got to stay in town to audition for those and to produce those, shows. So I would just take a few windows of opportunity and go on some short tours. So I was never always on the road type of comedian. And that's what a lot of the LA comics do too. They'll fly out for the weekend, and do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then come back. So they're around.
Wow, that'd be a tough
on
schedule.
The road,
Yeah.
But I've done my share of that, I do a tour of Oregon every year in Northern California. But it's always fun. It's great. I actually like being on the road for a short period of time.
It would be. Go ahead, Doug.
Well, he's got a new reason to stay home now. He's got a new, cute little 4 months old baby boy.
It's his 5-month birthday today.
Wow.
And he's in. I'm Irish. My wife is Thai, so he's American Thai, and his name is Jameson J. Devlin. And
that is too cute, though. I got little ones at home. My youngest, of course, he's 5 now, and my oldest is 14, and it's a good time. There's nothing like it. Nothing like being a father. It's a great time.
Yeah, and we've been married 16 years, and finally my wife, about 5 years ago, she's like, oh, we should maybe it was 10 years ago. I don't know how long we've been trying to have a kid. But she's like, we should have a kid. So basically, we just stopped not trying to have a kid, and it wasn't happening. And then we were finally, she got serious about it because she went to the doctor, and I wasn't with her, and it kind of got lost in translation a little bit. The doctor was telling her she had something, and she had to take care of it right away. She's like, the doctor says I have something. I have to take care of it right away. And so I'm like, what is it? And she's worried. I call the doctor. I find out that she's 40, and if she wants to have a baby, she has to do it now.
Wow. Like there's no time for thinking now.
So the doctor put a panic into her. So then we start trying a little harder. Then we went to Thailand last September, a year ago, September, I guess. And we did a thing. Well, first she has me go to this. I'll tell you the story. So then immediately I get blamed. It must be my fault that, she's not getting pregnant. They always blame the guy. So they have to have my sperm tested, right? Mm-hmm. So we go, I don't know how much of this I can say in the radio. I won't say.
Well, no, you keep going. You're good. You're good. Don't worry.
But I go to the place, and she's, so she finds a woman that owns the sperm testing lab. So she's like, we had bad insurance at that time. So she's like, oh, we don't have to pay. Well, insurance doesn't usually cover that kind of thing anyway. But anyway, so she sends me to this lab directly, eliminate the middleman, the doctor. So I show up at the lab, and they're like, oh, yeah, we can do this. And the lady puts the cup in front of me, and she's like, but we really don't have a place for you to do this. And so I'm like, because, and I've heard about guys, they're like, oh, I went there, and there was a room and magazines and a movie and a hooker and water and
they give you a Dixie. They give you a Dixie cup and a National Geographic with a broom closet.
So I didn't even get National Geographic. Would have been great. So I go,
the Congo edition of the National Geographic.
They have no place for this, so they send me into a janitor's closet. Right. So, and the door doesn't even lock. So it's like it's a dark jan. I'm in the dark jan. Like if somebody opened the door, it'd just be like some guy in there whacking off to Sham Wow. I don't. It's like,
put a little mood music on the old iPhone,
and so then I didn't get any cell service, so I could use my phone. And I'm in there. I got to get the job done, so I'm looking around like at stuff, like, oh, there's a mop. Oh, you dirty mop, you filthy mop. You no, that's not. And then some rags. Oh, you rags, you old dirty rags. No.
Right.
I'm like, there's a clean. No, that's a different show. That's a different. So finally I see a picture of a lady in there. There's a picture, and it was Doris. She was employee of the month, and I found out why she was employee of the month, because she gets the job done. That's all.
There you go. There you go. I guess.
How long were you in there, Bill?
Oh God! Why would you ask that?
No, too long. I was
probably in there all day.
He's either really good at it or really bad at it.
I was in there too long. I was starting to get embarrassed. I'm like, they're going to be wondering, what's he doing? What's going on?
Could you imagine if somebody would have walked in? Oh, my goodness.
But, yeah, that's what I get as a janitor's closet. And then we went to Thailand because we were going to do we did a thing. Basically, it involves a turkey baster. That's all I know. It's like they take the sperm. So I had to do the whole thing again in Thailand, but they take it with a turkey. Anyway, it's well, here's what my wife said, because here was her analogy. She's like, oh, your sperm too drunk. It don't know where it's going. It swim the wrong way. So this procedure is basically like giving your sperm an Uber ride right to the egg, is what. It's like it drops it right off at the egg. So it doesn't have to worry so much. It can stagger right over there.
Right. And, it doesn't have to be smart sperm. It just has to have the right direction.
It has to fall out of the car, basically.
If you ever want to not be able to breathe, Joel, you go have a few drinks with Bill and his wife. And the way those two interact, it'll just...
I could just imagine.
You can't even read. And his wife's, I mean, she's more of a character than Bill is. Don't you agree?
Yeah, everybody says she's got to be on stage. One time, she heckled me from the back of the audience, and people thought it was part of the act. But I can't force. She's kind of shy, really. You wouldn't believe it.
It just happens.
It just happened, but she
organically just happens, right?
Yeah, I was up there talking about something, and I said I was in Oregon. I was in Portland, Oregon, and all of a sudden, from the back of the room, there's this voice. When you in Portland, Oregon? I'm like, it was last year. I was on a tour. You never tell me about it. And then I'm like, and then it was on. I'm like, well, wait a minute. And she was, I can't remember that back and forth.
What did you do in Portland? I want to know. Yeah, that whole thing. I can imagine the third degree that happens right after that.
But
I can imagine.
But anyway, so the turkey baster thing didn't work in Thailand either. And they kind of told us, well, you're both a little older. She's 40. Bill's older. Drinks a lot. They always got to frown on the drinking. I don't know why they got to blame me for that. But so they said, well, this just might not happen. And so then we came back from Thailand, and she booked a trip to Italy. We were actually supposed to go back to Thailand to do another thing. I'm like, all right, I'll go to Italy. And anyway, then we went to Las Vegas, and that's where little Jameson was made.
Well, there you go. Without turkey baster, I'm going to assume.
Nothing. Just all natural.
All natural. That's the way to do it. Well, Bill, that's a compelling and rich story, and thank you for sharing that. But I also hear from Doug, and doing my research, you have a bit of a paranormal background. You've had some experiences.
I've had a lot of experiences. You name it. Ghosts, demons, UFOs, Bigfoot, Ouija boards. A lot of things have happened. Yeah. Ghosts. I was talking about, ghosts. How come in the movies, like, ghosts always come at the appropriate time, like just in time to save the day or to tell the person just what they need to know? They don't ever come at the inappropriate time, like, ooh. Yeah. And you're like, I'm pooping here. Oh, I'll come back.
Right? That and why do ghosts have clothes on? Weird things like that.
But yeah, no. So the show is about paranormal, and I've had a lot. When I was really young, my parents thought I had ESP, and I kind of did a little bit. I never told Doug this, but I would foresee things before they would happen. And one thing that really got my parents' attention was I'm driving in the car with my mom and just a little kid sitting, and I said, watch out for the accident. And she said,
are you a gig worker or self-employed? Womply has helped over 100,000 small businesses get a PPP stimulus loan, and you may qualify for up to $41,000 in 100% forgivable loans. The program ends soon and funds are limited. Apply now at womply.com/apply. That's WOMPLY.com/apply. Are you a gig worker or self-employed? Womply has helped over 100,000 small businesses get a PPP loan. You may qualify for up to $41,000 in 100% forgivable loans. The program ends soon and funds are limited. Apply now at womply.com/apply. That's WOMPLY.com/apply.
Because what accident? And then a huge accident happened right in front of us. And she's like, how did you know that? I said, I saw it. I guess I didn't realize I saw it before it happened. But
did you outgrow that? Or is that something that's been carried on your whole life? Just little tells, just little before it happens premonitions.
I thought I completely lost it until one day I used to own a photography studio downtown St. Paul, and I was loading some gear. It's the middle of the afternoon, and I was loading gear into my studio, and all of a sudden I just felt this impending danger, just every bone in my body, like my hackles went up. I'm like, and I jumped out of the car and I looked around just in time to see somebody duck behind a wall. And I'm like, and I knew it. I knew immediately. I'm like, that's some kind of an evildoer, right? So I'm like, okay, I got to get back into my studio and lock the door. So I just figured out a plan to get there, and I locked the door. It was really, and it was a huge glass door, but you couldn't break the glass. The minute I locked the door, this horrible dude on crack just came running up to the door and tried to come in after me to rob me or kill me or whatever. But I'm like, oh, well, I sensed that one coming, because he was probably sneaking up behind me because I was, had my, whole body in the car.
Yeah.
Probably going to just hit me on the head there or something. But so anyway, but most
that
of it.
That precognition sounds like it saved you a time or two.
Yes, that's what it is. Precognition, I'd say. But and I feel like, and my wife too, we both feel like we're real sensitive to supernatural things. If there's, I'll give you a quick example of that. We were both in Ireland, and we're in this hotel, and it looked just like The Shining when we're walking down. So it's like we're walking down this hallway, and there's pictures on the wall, and I was noticing these pictures like bad things were happening, and all the like,
oh my God,
powering away, and the whole town's after them. But anyway, our room was at the end of the hallway, and it had been a long day. And I go to the minute I stuck the key in that door, I just felt it. I just could feel something in this room, and I had to go to the bathroom really. So we went in, we put our luggage, and I said, I'll be right out. And I just ran right into the bathroom immediately, and I'm in the bathroom, and I'm like, I'm like, this place is haunted as hell. Like this place, I don't know what's going to go on tonight when we're in bed, but it's going to be bananas with whatever's in this room. And I'm like, I'm too tired to do anything about it. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to go in. We'll go to bed and forget about it. I come out of the bathroom, and she says, "This room's haunted. We got to get out of here." I'm like, "You're right." We just both ran out of there. We didn't even take our luggage. We had the bellhop come back and get our luggage.
Jeez.
And we changed rooms.
Wow.
And I thought maybe it was just the whole hotel, but we got in another room. That room was fine. Didn't feel anything like that.
Well, if it's like a normal hotel, people die. I mean, they just people in rooms commit suicide. They die, and it's. You would think there would be a law that they would have to tell you, oh, by the way, somebody died in that room.
Oh, my God, casinos, too, by the way. And I got a story about that.
Yeah?
After you're done, Doug. I mean, you're right. The hotels are just way stations of death.
Yeah. It's just weird.
Did you guys see the new Netflix series on the Cecil Hotel, downtown hotel?
Yeah, have you seen that? Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yeah. Insane.
I remember.
Yeah, I haven't seen that quite yet, but I hear great things about it, and I'll be checking that out probably this weekend.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it's just so early on, things were happening, and when in the house that I grew up in, we moved into this house when I was in 7th grade, so I was a little older. So what is that, like 15? I don't know.
Yeah, about 50,
something like that. So we moved into this house. And I woke up one morning, I didn't drive yet, so I was 14 or 15 because I drove the minute I was 16. But anyway, I wake up, it's about 5 a.m. in summertime, and my eyes are, starting to adjust to the room. I'm looking around, and I look, and I'm in the top bunk of a bunk bed, and I look over, and there's like a guy standing on the end of the bed. And didn't even frighten me. Didn't even think it was a guy. Didn't think it was a ghost. Didn't think anything. Just what the hell's that? Whatever. Looking around the room, thinking about stuff. My eyes are adjusting a little more. Look back at it again. Still there. Same thing. Still looking around. Look back at it the third time, and it's still there. And I'm like, wow, what the hell is that? And I'm looking at it, and as I look at it, it comes more in focus. It looks like a guy standing there. So then I sit up in the bunk bed, which puts me about 2 feet from this thing. And the minute I sat up and looked at it, I'm like, holy moly, that's a ghost. I mean, I knew it wasn't an actual guy standing in my room. I knew it was a ghost, though.
What was his reaction to you?
He said, whoa.
I often think that sometimes the ghosts, because I've been a paranormal investigator for years as well as a radio host, I think sometimes we get glimpses of other dimensions. That they're not necessarily ghosts, but they're just kind of thin parts of that veil that might separate the dimensions. Because some of what people talk about, right, Doug? We've heard that many times.
Bill might have been the ghost in the room.
You just might have been.
So what?
Might have been.
Go ahead, Doug.
What did this thing do?
Okay, so the thing didn't do anything, And I'm looking at it, and it looked like it was wearing like an old Civil War kind of an outfit. And it actually had like a bandage on its head, and it had a hat. Like it looked like it came out of the Civil War, this thing. And so I'm not, it wasn't doing anything. And then I just had to do a bunch of double checks to myself because I'm like, I better make sure, this is really happening. I'm awake. This is really here. I'm seeing it, because I wanted to make sure I'd believe myself later, because I didn't want to have any self-doubt later of what I saw, because that could probably happen. So I was doing all these checks, and then I realized, okay, it really is there. I'm cognizant and whatever. And then I start thinking, well, maybe I can communicate with this thing, and I'll get I'll be the first person to get a story from the ghost or whatever. So I lean a little bit closer to it, and then it starts to move. And that's a whole different ball game now. When the thing it started to turn towards me, because it was looking like off to the left or something, but it starts to turn towards me. And then I'm still thinking, well, maybe this thing's going to tell me what happened, or, I think this communication thing's really going to happen. Then just an overwhelming fear came over me when it started, like this thing's not happy. I could just feel this. And then when I saw its eyes were not like, it wasn't a regular face. It had dark sockets for eyes. There were no eyes. It was just dark holes where the eyes
Damn.
in this thing. And so, and at that point, just this, we talk about my sense, all my senses were, this thing is not here to do you any good. And this might not turn out too well if you keep looking at this thing. So I did one more quick double check. I'm really seeing it. I'm going to believe it. I know it's here. And then I didn't know what else to do. I dove under the covers. Because everybody knows ghosts can't penetrate covers, right?
Well, we all saw that from Scooby-Doo, so it must work.
Ghosts, yeah. Go. So but then I could feel it. So I could feel the thing at the end of the bed. Then I start feeling it. If somebody's in your room and they're in this position or that position, you can feel where they are. I could feel it moving. Now it's coming around, and it's coming up towards me, next to my head. So now I'm thinking, okay, if this thing touches me, I'm jumping out of the bed. My door was locked. I'm on the top bunk. I would have to I was making a plan to leap right at the door. I'm land at the door. I open it. I'm out of there. And then I'm thinking, well, the ghost couldn't kill me. Ghosts don't kill people, right? I'm like, well, if they did kill people, no one would know, right? It's a ghost. So anyway, it never did touch me, and I just laid there in terror until I could finally feel that the thing wasn't there anymore.
How long did this last, would you say, if you had to put time on it?
God, I'd put, probably seemed longer, but I'd still say it was like 10 minutes before the room, the sun was starting to fully come out. I mean, my room was way lighter by the time this was all over with it. And so I knew the thing wasn't there anymore. And so then I came out from under the covers, and I still couldn't get myself to get out of bed. I still couldn't jump out until my dad opened the door to wake me up. And he actually said, he could tell I looked scared, and he said, "What happened to you? You look like you saw a ghost." He didn't say that, because I must have looked anyway. So that happened. That's the only time I've seen an actual seen it. I seen it. That's the only time I saw it.
Yeah.
Like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, after you saw that and you experienced that, it sounds like you were fairly young at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Did that kind of change your whole worldview about, what's possible? I mean, did it kind of lift those limits that you might have had in your head about ghosts, about the paranormal, about all those things later on in life as you went?
Well, I didn't have to wait too much longer in life for more to happen, because in that same house, then something that I would call a demon came out. And that was nothing like the ghost. There, I'm laying in the same bed, but now I'm on the bottom bunk, door is open because I didn't shut the door much after that. But now it's like 10:30 in the morning. I was just skipping out of school, and I was just laying there trying to tell my mom I'm sick. So I told my mom I'm sick. She called in school, and I'm just laying there. And it was kind of a stormy morning, but all of a sudden, this fear came over me. And I looked towards the open door, and there was this black, shadowy figure standing in the doorway, which I think people call now. I've looked it up now. People call it the shadow people or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's, but whatever this thing was, and then I tried to jump out of bed and yell, and I couldn't. I was paralyzed, and I couldn't move. And then all of a sudden, this thing came floating right at me, really fast, and I'm still trying to yell. And then when it got right next to me, then I'm just like, "Wah!" And then I really did yell out, and I could move. It was like I was released, and and I've read about sleep paralysis and all of that, all those theories. But okay, those are good theories, and maybe that's a real thing, probably is. But that's not what was happening here, because this kept happening to me over and over.
It was not a one-shot time.
It was not a one-shot thing. Mostly at night in my room. It would come. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. And then one night I felt like I was floating above my body. And I didn't even know what astral projection was at all. And at that time you had to so I went to the library, started looking up every book, reading about every paranormal book I could get. And I finally read this chapter on astral projection. And I'm like, that sounds like what's happening to me, because you're not in control of your physical body. And I'm trying to move my physical body, and I can't. Mm-hmm. And then I read about there's evil spirits that are out there in that world that might be trying to get into your physical body and stuff, and take over your soul or whatever. But so I worked on astral projection. I was trying to be able to do it myself, but I couldn't. But in meditating and learning how to do it, now what would happen is, because I'd wake up in the middle of the night in this humming noise, and I knew if I tried to move or scream, I wouldn't be able to. But instead of trying to move or scream, because I knew the thing was in the room, I would concentrate. I put all my efforts in just to get back into my body. And that worked.
Do you think, did this all happen? Do you think that when you saw the initial ghost that you encountered, do you think it was a catalyst for what came next? Like now your eyes are open, you saw this paranormal. Do you think that was part of it? Do you think it was a magnifier, for almost like a beacon for other things to come to you?
I've always felt like they were two separate things. They felt like two completely separate things. I mean, the ghost, as evil as I felt that ghost was nothing compared to what this other presence felt like in my room.
Did anyone else in the home at all mention high strangeness that you remember?
Well, so that's what happened. So I'll tell you the rest of the story. So, and I don't remember the sequence of events, but at one point we did a Ouija board in my room.
Oh, Bill, not good.
And I don't remember if that was before the demon came or after the demon came.
Probably before.
But my sister thought, I have 5 sisters, and 2 of them thought it would be a good idea to bring a Ouija board into the bedroom. And so me with my sister Ginny sat there with our fingers on the Ouija board, and my other sister, Mary Jo, had a notepad, and she would write down the letters that it landed on to see if it made sense. And so Ginny asked the questions, is somebody else with us? And the thing just went zoom, like it floated and just zoomed over and landed square on yes. And then she asked a couple other questions, like what's in this room? And then it spelled out evil.
Oh boy.
Really quickly. I mean, it just went whoosh, 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 like it was just crazy. I mean, that it would be virtually impossible for her to even do it because we were in the dark and it was landing flat on these letters. I mean, I'd look after it landed on the letter, you know, you're not supposed to, but it was just, I think we were looking at it and it was just zooming around and landing right on letters. And she said, "Who is it?" And it said Satan.
No, that ain't good.
And and then it said some really horrible stuff about me that my sisters wouldn't even think was funny. Like, I can't say it on radio, but it said, like, I can't say it, but it was just
no.
But whatever it was really evil. And now the Ouija board thing. I know you're asking a question, but the Ouija board thing. So I just talked to my other sister, and she said she was just the one writing it down, Mary Jo. But my sister Ginny passed away several years ago of cancer, and she was literally on her deathbed. And I said, I gotta ask you, did you move that Ouija board, or is that real? She said that was real. That wasn't me. That wasn't me doing it.
I'm sorry to hear that your sister passed, by the way, of cancer.
Yeah. It's terrible. But anyway, it's so yeah, she confirmed that thing was moving around on its own.
So go ahead, Doug.
Well, did these things just continue to show up in your room even after that?
Yes. Yeah. It was like, look at it. It got a kid to go to the library and read a bunch of books. I mean, I'm like, what is happening?
How many times do you think this thing showed up in your room, Bill, total?
More than 20, probably.
Wow.
A lot. And then there was other occurrences. I'll tell you, we're not in a rush, because I told my parents about it and they didn't really believe me, but there was a time when all the electricity went out in my sister Mary Jo's room, which was connected to my room, and her room got really cold. And my parents were out of town, so we called an electric. Somebody called an electrician. An electrician came to the house, and he couldn't figure it out. He left just scratching his head. This doesn't make sense, and he couldn't fix it. And everything just came back on the next day. And then the same thing happened in my room, but my parents were home then. And my dad was an electrician in the Navy. He was an electrical engineer. So he had all the equipment. He checked the sockets, no power, nothing, lights not on. The room's cold, didn't make sense. Wow. And then he went up to the attic where the wires were running. I remember I went with him because we had to go through a little trap door in my closet. And we went up in the attic, and then he looked at the wiring. And that was the first time I ever saw my dad look scared, because he's like, this makes no sense. Like, the electricity just stopped mid-wire, and then it started up again mid-wire to the rest of the house. Like, just that room isolated of no power. He said,
it was like a jump through. It was like almost a dam stopping it from going to that room.
Impossible.
That is impossible.
So he was scared. That was the first time my dad ever. So now he started to probably believe a few of the things that we told him, because there was also other people that came to the house. Friends people would hear voices, and doors would open. Things, just weird stuff. A lot of weird stuff. But
so you have a lot of witnesses, Bill, to collaborate. If I could talk, your experience.
Yeah, so then the biggest one was that my sister, who she'd go out every weekend and get really drunk, Mary Jo, and she was like, oh, something was making me float around the house. And I didn't even put two and two together, me astral projecting at her saying she's floating around the house. Didn't even put it together, because oh, you were just drunk, Mary Jo. And then one morning, my another sister, Colleen, there's a lot of sisters, we're an Irish Catholic family. But my other sister, Colleen, comes home. She didn't live there at the house anymore. She comes over in the morning, and she's like, where's Mary Jo? Is Mary Jo okay? And she ends up telling Mary Jo that she had a dream that something was attacking Mary Jo, and she saved Mary Jo in her dream, fight this thing off. And Mary Jo's like, this demon thing was in my room trying to rape me. basically. And she got away. And so I don't know. And that dream was like real, it seemed like. And so then I didn't even hear that story. That was between those two. And then I'm talking to Colleen, and I started to tell her, well, you know, this about the demon that was coming in my room. And she turns white and she says, Mary Jo just described the same thing, has been coming in her room and making her float around the house and tried to rape her and haunting her every, you know, other night. And I'm like,
you know what kind of demon that was?
I didn't even think of the astral projection. So the thing was, I'm just floating above myself, and I actually learned how to control it so I could pull myself back in. It's having her floating around the house.
Mm-hmm.
So
that
you
sounds
guys,
like incubus.
But you guys had a good, happy, I mean, you had good parents. You had a good childhood. What do you think this was drawn to you guys? Was it the home? Or was it did your parents have paranormal experiences, you know, when they were young? Give us some background.
Yeah, I wish I could. I can't figure out why the thing was in this house. And it's not like it was an old house. I mean, it was built in probably the 50s. So to me, that's not like an old haunted type of a house. Yeah. But what may have happened, I think the ghost, because this house was on some land. It was on a big plot of land. And I don't know how to tell this, but to just jump to it. Years later, I'm at a doctor's office and I give my name and they said, "Oh, Devlin, related to John Devlin?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's my dad." "Oh, you mean you go way back to the 1800s, the guy who started that land?" Anyway, because they built a golf course connected to the land that we're on, and they called it Devlin Pond. And I wondered why. She said, "Well, Devlin Pond." She said that was named after John Devlin. I'm like, "Well, that wasn't my dad then." And she told me there was a guy in the 1800s that had owned all that land, and he died there. He died in the swamp. But I always thought that was the ghost.
Yeah.
Not the demon. So,
well, the demon sounds like a incubus infestation. If I had to put my finger on it. Putting on my paranormal, but it's a demon. It's a type of demon. Generally, the reason why it tipped me off is because the sexual component.
Mm-hmm.
They're demons that seek that kind of thing. They derive their power through sexually assaulting people, and things like that. I mean, that's what I would guess without knowing all the information. But I have dealt with those cases.
Well, and the thing it said about me was sexual, that I would do, I don't know. I can't say.
Yeah, I've dealt with a few cases of that in my
that's what it said on the
investigation
days.
days.
That I would take anything and do whatever to it. Yeah. So,
jeez,
it was, yeah. So, but it felt like always like those were two separate things. Like maybe that was the old ghost from his land. That's kind of what the ghost felt like. But this demon thing was.
Did you ever research him yourself and see what kind of person he was?
I tried. I can't find it. I think I'd have to go to, it was West St. Paul, Minnesota. I think I'd have to go to archives there. I can't find.
I know the perfect person to hook you up with.
Really?
Yeah, they could probably do that and really give you the total picture, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like what kind of person it was.
No, I'd love that. Yeah, so you'll give that to me.
Yeah, I will. Yep.
Great. Yeah. So, that was well, and we'll hear it. So to answer Doug's question earlier, so no, I mean, yeah, we had a happy family. I mean, we ate it, and my parents never talked about anything paranormal. It really took a lot for them to start to think, oh, maybe something really is going on in this house. Mm-hmm. I think it took that electrical thing to happen for my dad to believe it, and they still really didn't, but they had to believe something was going on. My dad, that's what I heard my dad say to my mom. He said, well, something's going on in this house.
Bill, did it start real slow, and then after every attack, did it seem like it would gain in strength?
Well, I think I was trying to, but at the same time, once I started reading the books, I gained more strength against it. So now because I'd wake up and I'd feel it was there, and I knew if I tried to move or scream, I wouldn't be able to. So I knew I just had to get mentally meditate and control myself. I wouldn't open my eyes. I wouldn't even try to open my eyes if my eyes were, you wake up and, you don't open your eyes immediately. I could feel it right there. And
after you learn that power, because that's personal empowerment.
Yeah.
Did it lessen? Did it kind of leave you alone and maybe focus its attention elsewhere?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I didn't really feel like it was. I mean, even if it slowed down to once a week or something, that's still too much. But what ended up happening was, I'm like, I got to get rid of this thing. Well, after it attacked my sister, I'm like, that's enough. I got to do something about this thing. And so I went. I studied about exorcisms, and I got the books and the prayers and the holy water. And you got to be stern to kick it out. And I ran around the house. I picked a day that I was by myself, and I did it. I did an exorcism on the whole house.
How old are you at this point, Bill?
Like 15.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of courage for a 15-year-old.
And telling this thing to get out and throwing the holy water and reading the prayers, and really I was mad at it once it attacked my sister, So I really was mad, and I used that, and anyway, it worked. It worked. The thing never came back.
Thank God.
So I always wonder if something like that didn't follow one of you home. You know what I mean? You were in some location and it clinged on you, or maybe one of your sisters, and actually, you brought it home.
Well, so going back to that land, I was an explorer, and believe it or not, in West St. Paul, there was woods, and there was an old abandoned house. And I went in that house, and there was an old well. And I explored all around in that old house. So, I mean, if that's your theory, I'd say that's where it came from. There was
Yeah, it could have been that.
And eventually they tore that house down, and
that's insane.
We built a Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh.
No, it's all on Robert.
Infuse 10% more demons. Yeah.
Yeah. But then eventually what happened with the house that I'm telling you about was somebody ripped that house. They moved it. They moved it about a couple miles away, and it's a Jiffy Lube. So I'm like, is it a haunted Jiffy Lube, or is the house 2 miles away haunted? Yes. I just had this conversation with my sister. She's like, we went to Jiffy Lube to see if we'd feel any weird things happening.
Yeah. Get your oil change and see.
They just ripped her off on an oil change. They said her oil filter was bad. But anyway, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well, it's probably good somebody's not living there.
Yeah, so the house got moved from the land, and so I don't know if that broke the thing. Probably, I'd imagine it would.
Well, demons generally just don't show up. I mean, like Doug said, they're kind of, they have to be invited in a lot of ways. Demons do. And whether it's through just pure not knowing any better or what have you, I mean, the Ouija board is a perfect gateway for something like that to just kind of tag along into.
What if his sisters were goofing around with the Ouija board?
That's what I mean.
Billy knew about it, before.
Yeah, they're saying, "Is anyone here want to talk to us?" Right? That's like telling every ghost in the area.
Yeah.
Hey,
whatever you're funny, Peacock's got it exclusively. Stream classic sitcoms like The Office, Parks and Recreation, and 2.5 Men. Plus, catch Peacock original comedies like AP Bio and Saved by the Bell. For all your exclusive comedy faves, go to peacocktv.com and get started.
Are you a gig worker or self-employed? Womply has helped over 100,000 small businesses get a PPP loan. You may qualify for up to $41,000 in 100% forgivable loans. The program ends soon and funds are limited. Apply now at womply.com/apply. That's WOMPLY.com/apply.
They want to talk. We're going to come right in.
It was immediately evil. And the sequence of events probably was, I saw the ghost, told them about the ghost, and they said, let's find out about the ghost. And then this demon showed up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a lot of
Don't
times.
you find it odd, guys, that Parker Brothers, a game company comes out with this product?
Yeah. No, it's crazy. I would
it's
never
not the
touch
game.
one. I would never touch one again. I mean, I never did. That was the only time. I wouldn't even think about it. And it is weird. Yeah, Parker Brothers, this wacky game that will bring evil demons into your house.
I remember seeing TV commercials for those things on TV.
Yeah. But it's all about intent. The intent you're putting out there. I mean, you can make a Ouija board with a pizza box and a cup.
I don't even like to hear that name anymore. Just the name is creepy.
I don't either, yeah. Neither does my wife. She's never even used one. I think she heard my story.
Yeah. No, you don't want to touch one.
The dangerous stuff.
So, Bill, you had mentioned maybe you had some UFO encounters or something. I've never heard any of these stories.
Yeah. No. So, well, the UFO, and I have more ghost stories too, but we'll jump to the UFOs where, because my wife, here's what's really corroborated. What a word, corroborate. This story for me was because my wife does not believe, Group C's her name. She doesn't believe in UFOs. Well, she didn't believe in UFOs at all. And I loved Ancient Aliens. And I mean, every time I'm watching something with UFOs, she's like, "Oh, why you watch UFO? Isn't real." And she wouldn't want to watch a movie with UFOs. And one night I'm driving down the 101 freeway with Group C, and I see something that looks like a hot air balloon, but it's at night. And I'm like, I mean, just the fire from a hot air balloon. That's all I see. So that's what gets my attention. So I see it, and then I saw a couple quick bursts of fire, basically, up in the sky. I'm like, what the hell is that? And then I'm looking closer, and I notice that the fire is dissipating around. It's as if a triangle is penetrating back into the fire. So the fire is going around, and I can see the shape of this triangle, right? So now I'm seeing the shape of this huge thing in the sky up there, and then I see there was lights underneath. It was basically, I've seen it's basically the boomerang UFO that people are doing. That's what this thing was. And it was moving. And then, so I saw the Group C, what is that? And she looks and she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, what? And then all of a sudden it made some weird movement. Like it moved really quick back and forth, and then came back, and then started moving slowly again. But it made an impossible move, nothing we know could do.
Yeah. And
then Group C goes, UFO! She says it. And I'm like, it is. And so this thing was moving, and then I exit off the freeway, and it wasn't making a sound. This thing wasn't making a sound, and it's moving. And I tried to make, I jumped out of my car, and I tried to make a video with my phone, and it turned out just to be like one of those videos you see, like I'm bumbling around, and then the thing's behind a tree, and I got nothing. And I'm a photographer. I'm a professional photographer. I couldn't get anything on this thing. But
how big was it, Bill?
It's hard to judge, but it seemed really big. It seemed pretty big. Like, it wasn't like, okay, so, well, now we know what drones look like, so that's very small. And I know what a 747 is like. It was as big as like a huge aircraft, I would say. Like a 747, giant. It was big. It was really big.
Was it cloud level when you saw it, or was it below the cloud line? I mean, just to give an idea how big it might be.
Yeah, it wasn't too high. It was lower than an aircraft would be normally flying, and it was, and it wasn't. And one thing I'm glad that I jumped out of the car even though I didn't get the video, I got that it wasn't making a sound, and I could see that, and it was shooting some kind of fire out of the front. And
that's interesting.
and I don't know what the heck it was. It was orange, like an orange flamey type of thing. I don't know what it was. It wasn't fire. It was just looked like fire. That's the only way I can describe it. Like the cavemen that thought the ancient alien people thought the fire from the sky. But anyway, then I went on Actually, David Race said, go on MUFON and check it out. So I reported it on MUFON, and sure enough, there was you could track the path of the people that saw it, and everybody described pretty close to the same thing. Some people thought just because they thought it was shooting the stuff out the back of it, like that was propelling it, but that's just what we would normally think. You know, you think that's a propellant, but it was actually going into. And so other people saw exactly what I saw, but it went all the way from there. It went all people saw it all the way to Long Beach, and then it went out over the ocean.
So you saw it for quite a while. It wasn't just a quick, you saw it in the sky and it's gone. You watched this thing leave.
Several minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I would have followed it, but I was driving Group C to work, so I couldn't.
So, what does your wife think of it now? UFOs?
Now she says it's a UFO. She knows they're real. She says they're real. She saw it.
And this was in the daytime, correct?
No, it was at night.
Oh, it was at night. Oh.
It was at night, but we could see this thing really, really clearly. And it was really not an airplane. Well, it's a boomerang. It's a huge boomerang, and you could see the lights underneath it, just very faint. It wasn't like there were bright lights, just very faint round lights on the bottom of the boomerang.
That is amazing. So there was markings on it. You're watching this. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's a cool.
We have a bit of a delay tonight, Doug. I'm noticing this. So if I'm stepping on you a little more than normal, I do apologize.
No, it's fine. I mean, most people don't have good UFO sightings like you just described. I mean, it's pretty detailed.
Yeah, it's well, it made. I mean, I always kind of believed that they were there, and now we know that they really are.
Oh God!
Real, but this was several years ago, and I'm like, okay, that confirms it for me because I saw one. Like the ghost. I mean, it wasn't much different than the ghost in my mind. That okay, I knew I was really seeing this thing, and it wasn't a plane, and it wasn't making a sound, and it was huge, and it did some erratic movements. Well, now you've seen the some of the footage of those things making just weird side by side movements that are impossible.
Yep.
And then it just continued this slow path.
Gosh, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear a lot about these triangle or boomerang shaped things. I've never seen one.
It's fun.
I haven't seen a shadow person either from Jiffy Lube either. I don't want to.
I'm here to change your oil.
It's free labor. It's free labor there. That's why they keep them around.
But God, there's so many reports of these, these dark, spooky figures. It's kind of weird. I don't know what I do.
They're a paranormal anomaly on their own.
Yeah.
There's a whole shadow people phenomena, and it's really deep, and it goes real deep because they believe it's connected to aliens. A lot of people believe that as well.
Yeah, it could be.
It could be.
Did you see like a hat on this blob at your house? Or was it just?
Yeah, I thought there was a hat, like it would look like, but you're just trying to make sense out of what this shape you're seeing. But it looked like it was a hat with a cape. But I actually did. If you go online and you Google shadow people, there's a picture, and I got goosebumps when I saw it because I'm like, that's what I saw. And they described this thing as floating. It doesn't have feet. There's no feet. That's I did notice. It wasn't like, I could tell it was floating there. It wasn't stand. That's why the ghost was standing there. This thing was floating there, and it floated towards me. It didn't walk. It floated effortlessly.
Sounds like the Hat Man.
And it did look like it had a hat. So yeah, you got a name on it, the Hat Man.
Yeah, well, lots of people reported the Hat Man. I mean, it's all over the place. So it kind of fits because that's kind of the MO that people describe.
Mm-hmm. So what does this thing want?
There's lots of different theories on what it's after. You know, I mean, it's some people put it with the demonic, other people put it with the aliens, other people there's really the theories are all over the board on who the Hat Man is and why he's doing what he's doing. But lots of reports going way back to the 1800s of the Hat Man.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. So, what other ghost stories, Bill, can you share?
I'm trying to figure out which one I should tell you guys.
Tell us the weirdest one.
Well, I'll tell you the most recent one. Was my. I'm just going to give you a quick backstory of this house. This house was built in the 70s, maybe even 80s. This house my sister lives in, not old at all, in a newer development. Wouldn't expect this house to be haunted. And Groupsie and I go to stay there so we're staying at my sister's house, and she's showing us around, and we go down the basement, and I got a really weird feeling about that basement. And then come back up, and then Groupsie also. She's like, something weird is down that basement. And I really didn't want to concur because there was a wet bar down there, and I don't want to have to go back down there. But they had a dog, a black lab, and I'm playing ball. A lab will go anywhere you throw the ball. I threw it down the basement. The dog's like,
not going there.
Go down the basement. And anyway, this dog was like a kennel dog, and he was getting a little older, so my brother-in-law felt sorry for him, so he built a kennel in this back room in the basement. So he put up a chain link fence, so the dog wouldn't have to be outside. And the dog, the first day, and this is a dog that's been in a kennel his whole life and never, worried about it. He smashed that fence down. He almost killed himself breaking the fence and to get the hell out of that room and get out of that room. And I'm like, I kind of believe the dog. But and a little more history. Okay, so that dog passed away. They got another dog. Another dog, the second black lab, would not go down that basement. Two dogs not going down the basement.
Did they ever stop and think to themselves there's a little something strange in their basement?
I've never, they're both, this is a sister who's really would not believe in anything. I didn't even bother to try to tell her because I knew she wouldn't believe me.
Sure.
So, then anyway, I'm in town by myself, and my mom had passed away, and that's, she lived a good life. She was like 93. But anyway, I'm there for the funeral, and another sister, Colleen, was in the house. Hey, Colleen, maybe she brings the demons. I don't know. But anyway, Colleen was going to use the bedroom upstairs, and I'm by myself. And Carol says, well, we made a bedroom in that basement back room. And whatever. But I'm not worried about it, So I go down there not expecting anything. And I get into that room, and it's just freezing. Now, it's March in Minnesota, but it was unreasonable. Like, I kept looking for a thermometer so I could find out. And next to that room is a blazing, that's where the furnace is. In the furnace room, it's right next to the furnace room, and there's heat blasting into that room, and it's cold. So this is weird. So then I lay in the bed, and now immediately I feel like something is in there. Something's watching me. And now I'm an adult. This is not that long ago. This is like 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this is, I hadn't felt this since the demon, actually. And then the light went out in the room. I go to turn on the light comes on, and then it just goes out. Well, that's not that unusual, but it was the only light in the whole room. Now I got a cold, dark room, something totally
with a possible demon, and you're in there in the dark.
Possible demon. So I turn on the flashlight on my cell phone, and I just don't feel right in this room. Like something, and after the demon experience, I'm like, I don't want any of that happening again. So there was something in there. I don't know what it was, but as an adult man, put Pandora on my phone.
Whatever you're funny, Peacock's got it exclusively. Bears beats The Office on Peacock. Stream every moment from Dunder Mifflin and explore bonus extras and exclusives. Plus, if you're looking for more classic hits, you can stream every episode of Parks and Recreation, 2.5 Men, and every season of SNL. In the mood for something brand new? Check out Peacock's original comedies, The Amber Ruffin Show, and Saved by the Bell. Whether you're craving a new binge or familiar fave, you can find tons of comedy hits on Peacock. Get started for free at peacocktv.com.
Slept under the covers with Pandora blasting and the flashlight on my cell phone. Because there was something in there. I don't know what it was. But anyway, the next day, Group C comes, and now it's 3 of us in the room next to it. And I had noticed a couple times when I walked through this room, there was a perfume smell, like an old lady's perfume. And you'd walk through this perfume, and it would just be an instant. And then I never said anything about it, but then we were down there, all 3 of us, Group C, my sister Colleen, and Colleen said, "Do you smell that perfume?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've been noticing that." And Group C's like, "Yeah, I noticed. It's right here." And you could walk, like you could literally stick your head into the perfume and then lean back, and it's not there. And I'm like, "Well, something's happening." So then I'm like, "Well, so then I start sniffing around. Like, is it on the couch?" I went down and sniffed the carpet below where it was. No smell. I sniffed the couch. No smell. Stick your head into this one spot in the room, and we all did it. And then we all got goosebumps. Like, something's right there.
There's the smell. Yeah.
I've experienced that. Yep.
Well, a good place to go, Bill, if you ever want to find out about the house, is go to whodiedinthishouse.com. And it's a database dedicated to any address you can think of in the world. You can type it in there, and it will come up with, actually a buddy of mine runs it, and it will come up with exactly who died in that house. It doesn't matter how far back. I mean, he scours records to the 1700s.
Really?
So if you're ever curious about who died in that house, it'll tell you. Some people have done that, and they found out information that they really rather not known.
Yeah.
Because there's a little bit of a caveat there. Be careful with it. But it's a good way. It's a good way to start to figure out the history of a home. That's where I usually start. But I start there, and I start with the history.
I'll look it up. And there was another incident. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but my brother-in-law had passed away. A different brother-in-law. This was before this other incident. But Group C woke up in the middle of the night. She said, somebody tried to play with me, like something was hitting her, but she said in a playful way, touching her, not sexually, but in a playful. Mm-hmm. And I totally believed her. We slept with the lights on, and then later that year, I'm in that same room, and I feel this first time a ghost ever. So it hits the back of my head, like somebody literally giving you a back of the head whack, up, and I felt it 100%. And I tried to reenact, like maybe a pillow slipped or a cover, no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, something hit me in the back of the head in that room.
Why? Do you ever wonder why you're the one that they pick on?
Well, I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah. Why are they picking on me? Stop it. Well, I got you.
I've seen Bill scared, and it's quite a sight. His eyes get really big.
Oh, so you think it's funny?
You think they're doing it for entertainment factor?
Exactly. I mean, I have never seen anybody's eyes get as big as Bill's when he's scared. And, I've been with him when he's scared.
Were you the one doing the scaring, Doug?
No. But, Bill gets, what would you call it? Enthusiastically emotional.
Yeah.
When something, weird happens to him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I've had experiences. That's why. So I believe it.
And the way he describes these things has this touch of innocence that you almost feel bad for him.
Almost.
Almost. As long as he's still breathing, we're good. He hasn't been hurt, but.
Well, I think he'd be great to bring on Paranormal Investigations. You see, because he would be the bait.
Oh yeah, he's definitely.
They come at me. Well, here's another. I thought I was wrong when I said this was the last. So this house that we live in now, neither one of us, Groupsie or I, have ever felt anything scary about this house. And I think an old lady did die in this house. But she certainly died while she was living in this house, if, not in it, the hospital. But anyway, I'm sitting. So that joke I just told actually came true. I'm sitting on the toilet. I'm home alone. And all of a sudden, under the bathroom door, something just starts. It's like, I thought, what? Like, Groupsie sometimes as a joke will shove a note under the door. It looked just like that was happening, but I knew she wasn't there. And then I noticed it was fabric. It was like a fabric under the door, like 5 feet. 5 feet under. It was big. And then it went, like, it swooshed across the door and then slowly went out. Like, in about that time frame, like that whoosh.
What do you mean 5 feet? What do you mean by that?
I mean, not 5 feet. I'm 5 inches. Yeah, it wasn't a giant dress. Like,
what did this thing have 5 feet? What?
5 feet.
Doug, I just had an idea for a TV show.
Yeah.
Call it Scare Bill Devlin. And you take him to the most haunted locations in the world.
We already thought of that. So there you go.
That would be so easy because I scare so easy. Groupsie used to just hide around the house. And even though I knew she was hiding, when I'd find her, I'd jump out of my shoes. But anyway, so this thing, I'm like, what the hell was that? Like, I know I saw it. It wasn't at night. It was in the morning. I saw this thing. Groupsie's not home. I know I'm home alone. The bathroom door is double, so I could have gone out that door. But what I did was I jumped up. I ran out the other door, around through the bedroom and around to that room to catch whatever was in there, right? Whether it was, and I'm thinking of maybe an animal, or I didn't know. I knew it wasn't an animal, but ran in there, tore everything apart. There was no animal hiding under anything. And I'm like, that really seemed like some kind of a ghostly experience, but I don't know what was it?
It was like a cloth or a
it was
cloth?
like the bottom of a lady's dress.
Yeah, dress. Yeah.
But it was like the bottom of a lady's dress, and she was on the other side of that door. Ooh. And the dress, the bottom of the long dress, kind of came out under the door gap. There's a big gap in the door, and so then I told Groupsie. I really didn't want to tell her, but I told her. I just could not tell her.
Enjoyed it.
She's freaked out, and I'm like, why? Why is there a ghost in this house? Like what you guys were asking. I'm like, why? Why now? And Groupsie, she's like, oh well, I'm going to bring some food. She had this lady at the 99-cent store that she liked, and she'd bring her food once in a while. So she goes. She goes to bring the lady food at the 99-cent store, walks in with the food, and they tell her the lady just died a couple days ago, or a day ago, or whatever. Within a day or two, she died, just dropped dead. Came to work, dropped dead. And
wow.
And then,
man,
whoa. And then I'm back in the bathroom, and then I didn't even know this, but this lady had given Groupsie a bunch of bathroom, like towels and bath supplies. They were all in that bathroom. So, I mean, I don't know if there was a connection there or not, but that's the only thing I could think of was it was that lady. She's the only one we knew. She just died, and she came around to check and see if I'm using her toiletries.
The only thing spookier than seeing some cloth at the bottom of the bathroom door crack when you're going to the bathroom is seeing somebody knock on the door and there's nobody home.
Oh yes.
Did that happen to you?
Yep.
Oh God, yes.
Oh yeah.
That's not fun because you're like, there's nobody home.
Oh yeah, I was working a case that was fairly dark and shit hit the fan. Excuse my language for me, and it was like a don't mess with me. You leave me alone. Just don't come around kind of warning.
You're feeling...
And it was escalating quick.
You feel kind of helpless in that position.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, I jumped up. I ran around. I thought I was going to see something in that room because I was clear as day what I saw. And nothing. But we think that's the only conclusion because nothing has ever happened in this house since.
Could have been a departure visit.
You just wonder. Why did it happen? That one day, but it has never happened since.
And we found out that lady died. I mean, I've had, like, when my sister Ginny passed away, I literally just said, "Hey, I love you, but don't come around." She did come around to a few family members. One of my sisters came in laid in the bed right next to her. And I'm like, "I love you, but I don't like ghosts coming around." So then I had a dream. I believe that people that pass away can come to you in a dream. I do believe that too. So because she showed up in a dream, and if you have that kind of dream, it's not real. There's a difference between your experience in a dream where something like that is happening and a regular dream. Like, I know I've had things and I'm like, that's not a dream. That was so she came, she showed up, and she had some suitcases and said she's fine and she's moving on and everything's okay. And she walked away. And I knew that was her telling me she was going to be okay. And she didn't come to my room as a ghost to scare the heck out of me.
Well, it was nice that she stopped and you had that closure too, that she's okay and she's moving on.
What is this feeling, Bill, that you've got a bunch of stories you haven't told us?
Yeah, I probably do. I mean, my mom showed up too, and same type of feeling. Didn't think it, didn't feel like a dream. Felt like it was really my mom. And she's like, "Oh, the people in the nursing home, you need to get them a card and a cake, and thank them for what they did. They took good care of me." And she said, "Oh, with the cake, you can use a coupon machine. There's a coupon machine now." And I have never heard of a coupon machine in my life. Have you ever heard of a coupon machine? I've never heard of one. I mean, not those little machines, not those little ones.
No, Cub Foods used to have them.
Yeah. So I'm in the store, never heard of a coupon. It's an actual, like a cigarette machine, but a coupon machine.
Yeah, they used to have one.
Wow, I've never seen one of those.
It would print
a coupon for a cake. So I get the cake. It was like Cub Foods, probably one. Yeah, so I got a cake with a coupon. So I'm like, I better get them a cake and bring it.
It made your mom happy, I'm sure.
I did. I got him a cake and a card.
Good for you, Bill.
But then
that's amazing, Bill. That's truly amazing. She
showed up a few other times. Once, for some reason, she said she lost her wallet and she needed a cell phone. And Groupsie, this gets a little more bizarre, but Groupsie being Chinese and Buddhist, she's Chinese and Thai, but she said, "Oh yeah, that she needs that." So you can literally go to the Chinese temple and you can get a paper cell phone and paper wallet and all that. And then you burn it, and they believe then that person gets it. So we did.
Interesting.
So we did it.
How can people find you online, Bill?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know if I want them. You mean the ghosts?
Oh, people.
If you're a ghost, you can
our listeners.
Our
your public. How can they find you?
If you're a ghost, it's easy to find me. But BillDevlin.com. You can just go to BillDevlin.com. On Facebook, it's Bill Devlin. So it's Devlin. And I think my links are on your, if you go to your...
Yep. And they will be embedded. The links will also be embedded in the description of the podcast. So if you guys would like to get a hold of him or see what, or better yet, listen to his comedy, stuff like that, you can do all that right through those links that we will be embedding. So check it out. It's a great website, great content. Bill, thanks a ton for coming on the show.
Thanks. Yeah. And I've got some, can I say one more thing? Or?
Sure, absolutely.
So I've got some COVID-friendly shows coming up for St. Patrick's Day, because that's my favorite day of the year. That's my holiday. So I'm doing a show in Hollywood at the Irish Import Shop, and Kevin Nealon is going to come down, believe it or not. And
he is hilarious.
Kevin Nealon, at the Irish Import Shop. It's in a parking lot, so it's COVID friendly. And then I'm going to do a drive-in comedy show at the Endears Hotel on Sunset Strip, and that's on St. Patrick's Day. And
that sounds great.
And I got Jamie Kennedy and a couple other fantastic Irish comedians coming down for that.
Very, very cool. Check that all out. It's on the website for Bill. Bill Devlin, everybody, give it up. And we are out of here. Joel and Doug, we're signing up, but take care of each other, love each other, and look out for those ghosts. They're not all that fun, though. I don't know. I don't think I don't want to deal with them. But we're out.
Streaming only on Peacock.
John Wayne Gacy killed 32.
Straight from the killer's mouth.
They want you to believe that I alone committed these murders.
The new gripping 6-part documentary series, John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise. All episodes streaming now, only on Peacock. Whatever you're funny, Peacock's got it exclusively. Bears beats The Office on Peacock. Stream every moment from Dunder Mifflin and explore bonus extras and exclusives. Plus, if you're looking for more classic hits, you can stream every episode of Parks and Recreation, 2.5 Men, and every season of SNL. In the mood for something brand new? Check out Peacock's original comedies, The Amber Ruffin Show, and Saved by the Bell. Whether you're craving a new binge or familiar fave, you can find tons of comedy hits on Peacock. Get started for free at peacocktv.com.